your feedback through our SMS line, that is 23059. All right. Mr. Paul Inda, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And many thanks, of course, making time to be there here on the program. We do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Right now, even as we build the basis of this particular conversation, statistics from the health organizations actually say that 1 in 4 Kenyans working into outpatient facilities, has mental health condition. Then one would ask the question: is this a crisis that you've ignored for too long?
Okay, so thank you so much. Allow me to start with the introduction.
Yeah.
My name is Paul Inda.
Yeah.
I'm a counselor and a counseling psychologist. He's a student from Multimedia University of Kenya.
Yeah.
I'm pursuing Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, Sociology and Political Science, and I'm also a student leader of the university. I've worked in Busia County, Teso North Sub-County, as a counseling psychologist under the guidance of Madam Takia Mzinza, and I volunteered myself there, where I really brought the impact onto the life of the people of Busia. Yeah, so on the question that you have just asked about the mental health, we first need to understand what is it, this thing called the mental health, whereby we need to define mental health in such a way that it is that state that a person is well financially. We start with the psychologically, financially, emotionally, as well as sociologically, whereby mental health is something that affects, it doesn't affect maybe particular group, but it affects the youths, it affects the young people like the children, it affects the old, so it doesn't matter. It affects all people. Yeah.
And one would ask the question then, you've just defined mental health. There is mental illness and mental wellness. So, how do mental health lead to mental illness, and what exactly is mental wellness?
Okay, so mental wellness is the state when someone is okay, or I can say someone is well, from the word wellness. When you are well financially, you are well psychologically, you are well socially, where you are able to relate with the people, you are able to interact with the people without anything. Many of us know that maybe mental health maybe sometimes mean out of maybe when someone is not having stress. No, that is not it. It is when you are able. Are you able to cope up with the challenges? Are you able to understand yourself? Yeah.
All right, you've just mentioned stress. Now one would ask the question, how does one know he has, mental illness? How do, should you wait until you see someone is, what people say, ameanza kuchizi, I beg your pardon for that particular word, but how do we come to this? How do someone actually know that they actually are suffering from mental illness?
Okay, thank you. That is a good question. One way of knowing that maybe a person is having a problem, you will first understand, you will see the behaviors of this person. There is one of the major causes of the mental health, that is depression, where you just find somebody has got that persistent sadness. Somebody is just sad. When you look at the person, the behaviors of a person, maybe we can say, let me use maybe something, you see someone is not maybe normal, so you are able to identify this person is going through a lot and he needs to seek for advice or seek for the counsel, because you understand that we live in a society where the main problem is lack of the counselors, because you find maybe in a area of a population of 50 million or 20 million, you just find maybe sometimes we have 20 counselors that are not able to do what? To give the solution to this problem. So it is that said that like one of the problems like depression, and looking at the behavior of this person, you will be able to know that there is a problem that needs to be solved.
All right, and speaking about young population, mental disorders are the second leading cause of disability among youth aged 10 to 24. Now, one would ask the question: what is really happening in our our younger generation?
Okay, what is happening? I think, let me say, let me relate it to the high cost of living,
Yeah.
unemployment, and maybe there are so many other things like the peer pressure. So when we're talking about the high cost of living, you find it is a situation where someone cannot meet the basic needs like food, shelter, and what, and maybe let's say the person is not able to meet such basic needs. Unemployment. This is one of the major challenges that causing it. You see, Gen Zs went on the street,
Yeah.
on I think it was last year, and the main problem that they were seeking for employment, to be employed by the government. But I want to say that those are just some of the major problems that are bringing this issue of mental health among our youths.
All right.
Whereby, yeah, sure.
Right, and you spoke about you are a counseling psychologist. Now, one would ask the question, is mental illness actually increasing, or are we just talking about it right now?
Okay, about the increase of the mental health, I think, according to me as a counselor, I think it is increasing. Because you heard me say that in a village, maybe in a community of 50 million people, you find there are few psychologists. And another question that we need to ask ourselves, is it what are the things that the government have put in place to ensure that they do away with this thing called mental health? Is there a day that has been set aside where people can come together and learn this issue of mental health?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now let's talk about relationships. We've actually seen most students actually in university, the young couples actually clash, and some actually end up killing each other. So what do you make of that?
Okay, I think it is just all about the peer pressure or the pressure that we get sometimes. Maybe let's say as a man, the pressure that sometimes we get from the ladies that we are dating.
Yeah, and sometimes, are we getting into relationships too early, or you as a counseling psychologist, from where you sit, are our children actually engaging in premature relationships? Because when you look at these particular relationships, you actually see, the parent is actually paying the school fees. This particular person is staying with his or her mother, or the parents. Now, one would ask the question: is it a young love or a young burden?
Okay, so about that question,
Yeah.
I think that has been the major problem that are making our youths to maybe sometimes get depressed.
Yeah.
Let me take you back into the Bible when Adam was created.
Yeah.
And we want to look at the process that Adam undergoes. Like, for example, sometimes we rush into things that sometimes are leading us into problems. Into the story of Adam, you will first understand that what God, the provision of God to Adam. First of all, He created Adam, and what next? What did God give him? He gave him Garden of Eden, to mean that is job, the shelter where to stay. Is when God provided the fruits. So to mean, for a person, maybe before getting into a relationship, you need to look. Are you able to maybe sometimes provide for this person that you are dating? Like God provided Adam with shelter first, that is the Garden of Eden. Then the fruits is when Eve came in. So we need to follow that process. You don't need to just rush into something that maybe sometimes lead you into a problem. That is why I talked on the peer pressure that sometimes we are getting from the people that we are seeing around.
All right, now let's talk about your coping and healing. So one has discovered that he or she is suffering from mental illness. So from there, how does this person actually cope with that? Does the person seek counseling? How does it go?
Okay, when we have realized that maybe you have a problem,
Yeah.
I think the best solution, you need to share your problem. And in fact, that is the main problem that we have in Kenya, where many people doesn't talk about the challenges that they have. We need, once you have realized that you have a problem, you need to share it out. We have friends, trusted friends, because even in our work of counseling, we are being taught about something called the confidentiality, whereby you are not supposed to share what your friend has told you. Maybe sometimes you have helped this person, and now that you need to share, that is a no-go zone. So when you have realized that you have a problem, you need to seek for counselors. We have counselors. You can go to the hospitals, seek for those counselors. And if you are not able to get the counselors, you have the friends, you have the parents, and even the community, because this is a collective responsibility of all people. So you need to just share. And when you are not okay, just say you are not okay. That is why sometimes we fail, whereby you meet with someone, you greet the person, then the person just tells you, how are you? I'm good. And inside your heart, you are not that good. And this is keeping on going and making you to lead into, maybe end up into more problems.
Right. So, and many times you see, men don't actually speak about their issues to other men or that, to people. And one would ask the question, are we running from our pain instead of, dealing with it?
Okay, so I don't think whether we need to run away from, we need to carry that pain. And, there is someone who said that a problem shared is halfway solved. Yeah, so if you continue carrying the pain, it is you hurting yourself. In fact, the statistics that was done shows that most of our youths are walking with sad faces. And the only way to so the only solution to cope up with this is to be kind to each and everyone that you are meeting with. Are you showing that kindness to people? So there is no need of carrying that pain when you know very well that it is going to affect you. Share it out, seek counselors. They are there, they are out there. And in fact, there are some counseling centers that are offering counseling for free. You need to visit such places so that you don't carry the pain that will sometimes may lead you into problems.
All right. And I spoke about peer pressure. And one of the catalysts one would say is social media. So what are some of the causes that lead to mental illness? And in regards to the social media, is social media actually creating a generation that is addicted?
Okay, yeah. So about the social media, maybe for example, the problem that we have with the social media is maybe you have seen somebody getting rich, maybe in social media you see those things, rushing into things that maybe sometimes makes them rich. So there is someone that said that life is a process. You need to go step by step. You don't need to rush in those things that the social media tells us. Sometimes they are not true. They're like, maybe let me say, that these people who came into maybe secondary schools, they tell you that they walked, maybe when they were young, they were walking from maybe, let's say 20 kilometers going to school. We sometimes, if you maybe looked at them, sometimes they are not true. Yeah, so those things that we are seeing in social media, sometimes there are those that are true and there are those that are not true. So you don't need to maybe sometimes have the influence of the social media that leads you into something that maybe might lead you into a problem.
But then again, one would argue that this same social media, people are actually learning from it. People are actually getting counseling psychologists in the same particular platform. Now one would ask, is social media a two-edged cutting sword?
Okay, about the social media, there are the bad side of it and the good side of it. Because you see people, we as students, we are learning from social, not even us alone, but all people in the world. Maybe sometimes you find, sometimes you have maybe all the online classes and then you are not able to understand maybe what the lecturer is teaching. You get into the social media and have and learn. But social media has also the bad effect whereby you just want to maybe watch things like pornography that may sometimes lead you into addiction, and that will make you to have that mental problem that we are talking about.
All right. Now you spoke about schools, school-going children. Now one would ask the question, parents at times, they don't know, what their kids are actually going through. So how would a parent actually identify that, you know, my son, my daughter is actually experiencing mental illness?
Okay, so I think parents needs to have a talk with their children. You need to monitor where does the movement of your child. You monitor the movement of your child, that at this particular time my child is in school, at this particular time my child is playing with other children, at this particular time my child is reading. You need to monitor, and you need to have that talk, because you have said if you speak, you will able to know the problem that is affecting this child. You sit him or her down, you have a conversation with, and let's I think when you are having the conversation, I think you need to be open. You see, sometimes the problem that we have with our children is you find the parent is just strict.
Yeah.
The parent is maybe sometimes angry with the child,
yeah.
and the child is finding it very difficult maybe to share this problem with the parent. Some parents are cruel.
Yeah.
Some parents are maybe they are shouting for their children, making sometimes the child not to share his or her problems to the parents. So the parents needs to be welcoming. They need to have that kindness and understand that these are their children. They need to have that the children need to have that conducive environment where they are able to share their problems with the parents and see on how they can solve these problems.
All right, you spoke about, you know, the family, you know, environment, you know, can actually cause, you know, mental illness to this particular child. But, you know, some time back, mental illness was not actually taken seriously. You know, you can't come out from school and tell your parents that, you know, I'm sick, where mental illness. And I wanted to ask the question: are we now embracing, because we've interacted with this particular people as a counseling psychologist, are we now embracing you know, mental health as compared as to the past days?
Okay, so on that, I think maybe, let's say a child has come out from school. This is your child. You need to understand him. You need to understand his emotions, how the child, from what the child will speak, on how you will understand the behaviors of this child, and know maybe that this child has got a problem that needs to be solved. There are children that sometimes maybe if they have problem, they don't just listen, they say, and that is one of the biggest roles that we have as the counselors.
All right, and you know, I wanted to ask, what are some of, you know, the habits that, you know, quietly destroy mental health?
Okay, the habits that sometimes destroy mental health, I've talked about, maybe, for example, shouting for the child.
Yeah.
That will make this child maybe to know that maybe there is a problem, and you will cause more problems into this child. There is something that I also said about depression, where maybe you may find a person is having that persistent sadness that will make him to have that problem of mental health. Yeah, so anxiety, depression, and such things. And even sometimes the domestic violence in their families, and sometimes are the causes that are the habits that trigger the mental health issue.
Yeah, and one would ask the question then, you know, you may seem happy, and from where you sit, one may seem happy and still be mentally unwell. So how would then someone know that they're suffering mentally?
Okay, for a person to understand that he or she is suffering mentally, it is something that comes from you. You know yourself. There is something called self-awareness. You need to understand yourself first, because you are the one who owns your problems, and you know the things that are affecting you. From that alone, you will be able to know that I have a problem and I need to share this problem. That is why I started by saying many people think that maybe having a stress is the only way. Maybe one can say that this person is having a problem of mental health, when it is not that way. Yeah, so I talked about the financial well-being, psychological well-being, emotional well-being. You need to understand or deal with your emotions. There is something called emotional intelligence, whereby you need to control your emotions, maybe sometimes when you are in public, maybe when you are in sports, maybe when you are in church. You need to control your emotions. You not just tell people or show your emotions everywhere. You need to practice that emotional intelligence. And we need not to maybe sometimes, the problem that has just been bringing all this the problem of mental health is isolation, where you find someone is just alone. He or she is alone somewhere. When you are alone, you will be able to start to think. You will be thinking about things that are sometimes will not add value into your life.
Right, and at our institutions, actually, especially schools and public institutions, workplaces, are they actually embracing, these counseling offices?
Oh well, so like from Multimedia University, there is a counselor's office, but the problem that we have is most of the students doesn't find time to go into these places or visit these places for help. You find a student is having a problem, he or she is just in the hostel, staying there. So I think one way that we can use to maybe solve this issue, these counselors, they need to maybe walk out from these offices and get into room by room, and maybe knowing the well-being of the students. Yeah, so the university has got the office of counseling office, where students are able to go there and seek for help. But the problem is that they are not going there. So I think the counselors needs to walk into each and every, or organize for a mental health maybe week, so that they can engage the students by bringing them together and educating them, because education is one way of creating awareness. Yeah.
And is this crisis actually reversible?
Reversible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think so.
And how long does it actually take for someone to say that now I'm mentally stable?
Okay, for one to understand that maybe your shield is mentally stable is after seeking that help. After seeking that help, is your problem solved? You come back and maybe sometimes share. When you have maybe visited a counselor once, it is not enough. You need to come regularly, because we only know that maybe when you are having a problem is when you can see a counselor. That is not the way. You need to see a counselor regularly when you have even when you don't have a problem, because from there you will be able to learn. You learn and we learn, and we learn together. Yeah, so.
All right, we've seen suicide especially most of our younger generation. Now, what fuels that when it reaches a moment someone says, I want to end my life?
Okay, so what triggers the suicide? I talked about the pressure that sometimes, let me use for example men, the pressure that maybe you are getting from the relationships.
Yeah.
You find maybe you are in school, like I'm in school, and maybe for example I'm dating, and I'm dating a lady sometimes, this lady sometimes gives me a lot of pressure that like she needs this, she needs that, she needs this, and yet I'm also a student, and I also depend from my parents, where they should send me something is when I can also sustain this lady. So sometimes the pressure that we are getting from these ladies are sometimes might make you to reach at that point that maybe sometimes you want to take or end up your life, because maybe sometimes you are fulfilling his or her needs, but when it comes to yours, she doesn't. So you feel that pain that you are providing to him or her, but the person is not. Maybe let's say, love is something that you need to, when you love someone, you should expect that energy back. So the moment that you feel that energy, you are not getting what you are supplying there.
It's one way. All right, and from where you see it, in regards to the government, is the government actually doing enough to respond to this mental illness in the country?
Okay, so about the government, I think I started by saying that one of the major problems that we have is the high cost of living.
Yeah.
And you see, I don't want to talk about it because today we are not talking about politics. I think you will invite me another day so that we talk on this.
Definitely.
Yeah, so the government, I don't think whether they are doing enough to, because there is, do you even remember a day that is set aside for mental, let's say maybe in US I have seen, according to the research that I've done, I've seen US, they have May as a mental health
awareness month.
Yeah, month. So do we have such things in Kenya? And if the high cost of living is the main problem that making us especially they used to have this mental problem, what is the government, what are they doing to ensure that they reduce the cost of living so that we are able to cope up with these challenges that are affecting us?
All right, now, Mr. Paul Inda, for the interest of time, a message for this person who's watching, who's overwhelmed and alone. What message will you give this particular person?
Okay, so the message that I would like to give this particular the person who is watching us, I think I'll leave you with the book of Psalms 119, verse 9. I think it is verse 9 that says that how can a young person keep his life pure? Yeah, so I encourage people to read that book so that you can be able to understand. But the response is by understanding maybe or keeping the laws of God. You know, the greatest law that we have is love. When you love your neighbor, you will not be able to kill, you will not be able to steal, and you will not be able to maybe sometimes, let's say, you will not hurt this person. So we need to always be able to show that kind of kindness. We need to seek for counselors so that we can be able to get this problem solved. Otherwise, thank you.
All right. And even as we wind up, tell us about where someone can actually reach you out, someone who would want to talk to you in regards to counseling and counseling psychologist. Where can they find you?
Okay, so I think I'll just share my number. My phone number is 0715-330-894. So if in case you have any problem that you like us to talk on, my number is 0715-330-894, and my name is Paul Inda.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paul Inda, for your insights and for making time to be with us here on EBN Television. Right, that's not to wrap up our program here on Morning Life. I hope that you grasped something from this particular conversation. We were confronting, the Kenyan's mental health crisis, the stigmas, the shortages, and the broken systems, and offering possible solutions that could save lives. All right, we've been watching Morning Life. My name is Macharia, and just in case you missed out on this particular conversation, you can actually get that on Facebook and as well as on YouTube. We're live on Facebook as well as on YouTube. You can actually get that there. Right, it is exactly 29 minutes past the top of the hour. Yourself a lovely day. Coming up next is Your Faith Today with Reverend Felix Kavoy. Don't miss that particular show. My name is Martin Macharia. Let's do this again when God says we do.